Coming up on Chapman News, missiles hitting Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, and Biden pledges a huge new aid package for Ukraine.
Bad news for the economy. Could we be headed for a recession?
And a California rebate to help drivers with rising gas prices. I'm live in Orange with more.
From Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Chapman News. I'm Kiana Favela.
And I'm Adrian Mitchell. We begin this morning with breaking news on the war in Ukraine. We are in week 9 of the Russian invasion of
the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres met this week with Putin and Zelensky separately, but there seems to be no progress towards a ceasefire. As the war continues, Ukrainian officials are calling the latest attack on Kyiv a, quote, postcard from Moscow and an insult to the United Nations. These attacks had been slowing down until yesterday when missiles landed in the heart of the city while the UN Secretary General was there trying to negotiate humanitarian corridors for civilians in a besieged city. This comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin stopped oil shipments to Poland and Bulgaria this week because they wouldn't pay for oil in rubles. He also issued new threats against the US and NATO earlier this week in an address to lawmakers in Moscow.
Еще раз, если кто-то вознамерится вмешаться в происходящие события со стороны, то они должны знать, да, и будут создавать для России неприемлемые для нас угрозы стратегического характера, они должны знать, что наш ответно-встречные удары будут молниеносными, быстрыми. У нас есть для этого все инструменты, такие, которыми не может сейчас похвастаться никто, а мы хвастаться не будем. Мы будем их использовать, если потребуется. И хочу, чтобы все об этом знали.
That threat head on, saying, quote, no one should be making idle comments about the use of nuclear weapons or the possibility of the need to use them. He called the rhetoric irresponsible. Also, President Biden is proposing a major package to help Ukraine. The $33 billion package is twice the size of anything he's proposed before.
The cost of this fight is not cheap, but caving to aggression is going to be more costly if we allow it to happen.
With this proposal, it's a recognition that the war in Ukraine is not ending anytime soon. This package addresses bigger, more modern weapons, plus aid to the Ukrainian government and food for its citizens. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Peyton.
And there was big news on the economy today.
There is disappointing economic news. The GDP, which stands for the Gross Domestic Product, took a serious nosedive, down 1.4% between January and March. That's the worst number since the beginning of the COVID outbreak in 2020 and raises fear of a recession. A new Gallup poll shows the economy, specifically inflation, is the big issue for Americans. It asks, how would you rate the economy? The results, 42% poor, 38% fair, 18% good, and 2% excellent. This is not good news for Biden and the Democrats. 80% rate the economy fair or poor, only 20% rate the economy good or excellent. The GDP is all the goods and services produced by the United States during a specific time period.
On the other hand, California drivers may be getting some good news when it comes to gas. Not that prices are coming way down, but Governor Gavin Newsom and the Democratic-controlled legislature are coming up with ways to put money in your pocket. Sophia Chacon is at an Arco in Orange with details. Sophia.
Thanks, Adrian. Hey, everyone. I'm reporting live at the Arco on West Chapman Avenue. All of us Californians know we have been paying the highest gas prices in the country, but relief may be in sight. There are a number of proposals in Sacramento to give us a cash rebate. That's right, cash in our pockets. Californian drivers may receive $200 thanks to the California budget surplus. The details are still being worked out, but here's who would qualify. If you have a car registered in California, taxes and if you make less than $250,000 a year. The government will also be giving families who qualify $200 for every child. I'm Sophia Chacon reporting live for Chapman News. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Sophia. I would love some extra gas money. It's hard being a college kid.
Thankfully, I live on campus, so I use my friends for rides.
And here on campus, Chapman Republicans hosted Dennis Prager, a conservative radio show host and founder of Prager University. PragerU is a collection of online video resources that teach various topics from a conservative perspective. Many students claim that Prager has a history of using racist and sexist language, which inspired a protest against his presence on campus. Chapman Democrats organized the student-run protests and were joined by support from other student organizations, including Chapman Feminists and the Black Student Union. Chapman students explained why they were protesting the event.
And they definitely have the right to have whoever they want on campus. We, as a group, were kind of horrified by him, what he represents, the misinformation he spreads with his PragerU accounts on everything. And so we felt like it was a civic duty, like we have to show disdain to this event. We have to raise awareness that this is not, just a man who wants lower taxes or a man who's a big fan of Reagan. Like, he is genuinely an abysmal human being.
We do not pay tuition money to have this man come speak at our school. And I think they should be embarrassed and ashamed for letting him come here.
Tickets to the event were open to the public, even hosting a VIP reception afterwards. Chapman Republicans President Justin Buckner said, quote, "I am proud of this club for raising all the money ourselves to host him, not asking for any funds from the school. We worked tirelessly over the past couple months to ensure the event went smoothly. People on the far left don't give Prager the chance to be heard, and it's reflected in their narrow thinking and hateful rhetoric towards both him and the club." That's politics on our own campus.
For a national political report, here's Caroline Applegate.
Thank you. Another victory for pro-life advocates. Oklahoma officially approved a bill that mirrors the controversial Texas abortion law. This bill will stop abortions when a physician can see cardiac activity in an embryo or a fetus, which can be as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy. Oklahoma joins a growing number of states with restrictive abortion policies. Ever since COVID, migrants have been blocked entry into the U.S. from Mexico. The Biden administration wants to lift the restriction, but more than 20 states say they're already overwhelmed by the soaring number of migrants. A Louisiana federal judge agreed and said the order should stand. The Biden administration plans to take this to the Supreme Court. California Republican Kevin McCarthy has a credibility problem. After the January 6 Capitol Hill riot, he urged then-President Trump to resign. McCarthy also criticized Trump's congressional ally, Matt Gaetz, on his reaction to January 6.
Well, he's putting people in jeopardy, and he doesn't need to be doing this.
But now he's backpedaling, trying to curry favor from Trump in what some believe is an attempt to become Speaker of the House. I'm Caroline Applegate, back to you at the desk.
A follow-up on a story we've been covering, the possible closure of Mary's Kitchen, a nonprofit organization here in Orange that is responsible for thousands of meals, materials, and resources to many homeless in the area. Toward the end of 2021, the district judge ruled to evict the nonprofit. With the June 10th closure looming, Anna Montemore has the story.
Mary's Kitchen is more than just a soup kitchen. Along with serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 6 days a week, it also provides washers, dryers, showers, health clinics, and many other services. After nearly 27 years of providing all these necessities to the homeless, I asked CEO Gloria Geese the pressing question: why would Orange vote to evict them?
The city is telling the judge that they can do everything that Mary's Kitchen can do.
The hashtag Save Mary's Kitchen has been circulating on social media ever since the district judge ruled to evict Mary's Kitchen late last year, primarily because they feel it attracts too many homeless and creates crime in Orange.
Not all the crime in Orange is committed by homelessness. And they say, oh no, of course not. Well, then don't blame everything onto the homeless.
The city of Orange wants to replace Mary's Kitchen with a more developmental and modern homeless shelter.
We haven't kept up with the times. The way we take care of them is old-fashioned. We don't move them on to housing. Some organization was here, and they said, well, now why are they asking me? I said, we haven't cured homelessness. And they said, well, neither have they. I mean, what is the answer to it?
After 3 rounds in court, the judge also decided that the city will set up their version of the nonprofit in front of Mary's Kitchen to see if they can be just as successful as them. And in May, the judge is going to visit both and see how well they are handling it. Then we'll reevaluate in court on May 23rd.
The whole goal is to make sure that our unhoused or homeless are taken care of, or anybody in the city of Orange is taken care of, to meet their basic needs.
With no intentions of dissolving, Mary's Kitchen has been looking for new locations in Orange, but it hasn't been easy. This is because every county is divided up into zones, each required to provide some zones specifically for the homeless and emergency living shelters. Though the amount of available zones are scarce in Orange, Gloria stays hopeful.
If this is what the good Lord wants us to do, there will be a door that opens, and that will, we're not going to go away. We're going to be here, and this is our mission, and this is what we'll do.
For Chapman News, I'm Anna Montemore.
If you want to learn more about Mary's Kitchen, you can find them at Humans of Mary's Kitchen on Instagram, and they always welcome new volunteers.
Vice President Harris tests positive and mass confusion continues. I'll tell you more after the break.
And California beaches are eroding the forest. What is SoCal doing to stop it? All that and more on Chapman News.
I'll be seeing you in all of our favorite places with laughter and warm embraces all day through.
Elmo loves you.
I love you too.
With free COVID-19 vaccines, sunnier days are ahead. Visit getvaccinanswers.org.
I'll be seeing you.
The Biden administration proposed a national ban on all menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars beginning in 2024. This ban has been in the works for over 2 decades and is the biggest move by the federal government to take away cigarettes since 2009. Many experts say the move could save hundreds of thousands of lives, but there is an economic impact. A third of all cigarettes sold nationwide are menthol flavored, bringing in $20 billion per year. 2 cigarette companies have already indicated that they might sue. From a life-saving cigarette ban to life-saving vaccines.
We have Julia Gillis with us to give you your latest COVID update.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with your latest COVID update. Vice President Harris tests positive for COVID-19. She is not experiencing any symptoms and is isolating at home. She has not been in contact with President Biden or the First Lady, however. Because of her absence, the Senate is postponing a nomination vote. Dr. Fauci announced this week that the United States is out of the pandemic phase.
We are certainly right now in this country out of the pandemic phase. Namely, we don't have 900,000 new infections a day and tens and tens and tens of thousands of hospitalizations and thousands of deaths. We are at a low level right now.
This comes in as the CDC has found that more than half of Americans have had COVID and over 900,000 people have died. The European Union also ended their emergency phase. The European Commission president stated that we are entering a new phase of the pandemic as we move from emergency mode to a more sustainable management of COVID-19, yet we must remain vigilant. Infection numbers are still high in the EU and many people are still dying from COVID-19 worldwide. Europe will now be focusing on vaccination and surveillance. From Europe to China, Beijing has begun testing their residents to avoid the lockdown nightmare that is happening in Shanghai. This order followed the 70 cases detected in Beijing. That's your COVID update. I'm Julia Gillis.
Wait, Julia, have you heard about the gaggle of geese that are protecting the border of China?
What? Geese?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, let me tell you more. Geese guards. No, it's not a tongue twister. It's actual geese who keep guard. And right now, there are 500 geese guarding the border between China and Vietnam. And they will honk or bite at anyone who tries to enter illegally. Hear that, Trump? That's the honking of a better idea than a wall. But in all seriousness, these geese are doing the very important job of lowering COVID cases. Less illegal immigration, less potential cases coming in. And these geese do the job for cheap. They don't need minimum wage, and they don't even need training. Once Chinese domestic geese establish their territory, they defend it fiercely. And if 500 5-pound honking birds doesn't terrify you enough, they also teamed up with about 400 mixed breed guard dogs. That's a power duo if I've ever heard of one.
The Alameda County Sheriff's Department recovered over 92.5 pounds of fentanyl in Oakland and Hayward. They said over Twitter, quote, "This is a glimpse of the fentanyl epidemic." According to the Drug Enforcement Administration, the amount of illicit fentanyl had the potential to kill over 20 million people. According to the DEA, many drug dealers are mixing fentanyl with other drugs, increasing deaths across not only California, but the nation.
The federal government gave $24.8 million to Orange County in a new bill signed by President Biden to help fight the county's beach erosion. Kyle Carr has more.
By the end of this century, that the beaches in Southern California will be 70% gone. Like, that is alarming to me. 70% gone.
President Biden recently signed a bill giving $23 million to replenish the sandy beaches of Orange County to combat beach erosion. But what is beach erosion? Less sand, more water. The sand is disappearing because flood infrastructure, like dams and cemented channels and other coastal construction, stop the natural replenishment of sand from upstream. And also, ocean levels are rising due to climate change.
I'm here on one of Orange County's many beaches that has been affected by erosion. A steep, narrow beach is all that remains when protective measures aren't conducted along the beach.
Orange County will spend over $20 million on a sand replenishment project. Coastal engineers will help pull sediment from other areas to fill in the beaches, but this doesn't prevent the coastline from eroding.
Put sand out in front of them is going to save them for 10 years in the order of feet of sea level rise in the next 50 years. Some of these areas, if that comes to fruition, there are a lot bigger issues than putting more sand out in front of your house, because water would be higher than the sand anyway.
But this doesn't mean our beaches are hopeless.
Use natural-based solutions. You can really get at the solution. We took cobbles that are from the natural area, using materials from that natural dune structure, and built literally, like, we call it a mattress, like your bed. So it's the bottom kind of layer of a cake, so to speak, and it's really sturdy. And so when the ocean comes to move it, the bottom will stay in place because it's bedrock, because it's been dug deep down and it's heavy boulders. And then what you need to do after that is, again, what I said, put the sand on top of it and make sure that, you're anchoring the sand in between the boulders. And then you do the final piece of it, which is putting natural foliage that's from that area. So it all locks together like a sponge cake.
These dune replacement solutions have been used in places like Surfers Point and Ventura to great success.
And the place where we had built the living shoreline, our cobble mattress, was intact. And down the way where we hadn't, it was completely eroded.
The cost of rebuilding these dune systems is very high and can take several years. The project at Surfers Point is going into its 7th year of construction. But nature-based solutions are done once, while sand replenishment has to be done every 2 to 10 years.
Even through hurricanes, these nature-based solutions can withstand some pretty intense erosion.
As California continues to battle coastal erosion, it all comes down to finding innovative solutions.
And with the complexity of the world now, we can't use that 1950s thinking anymore, where we're like, let's just put up a seawall, right? Or we can build the house right onto the beach and we'll have a seawall and then we'll do beach fill in front of it. It's like, no, we can't think that way anymore. So we need to be innovative.
That's the Erosion Breakdown. I'm Kyle Carr.
While ocean levels are rising, the drought in Southern California has reached its worst point in history. Officials are demanding emergency water conservation from businesses and residents. The Metropolitan Water District of Southern California has ordered limits to water use in Los Angeles, Ventura, and San Bernardino counties. This includes a restriction to outdoor watering to only once a week. Metropolitan stating this is essential to save water going into the summer months. Wow, a lot is happening in our local environment between our beaches eroding and our water shortage problems.
And here with even more weather news is Alexis Tripke.
Thanks, Adrienne. Now, we know the negative effects that the war in Ukraine has on our world's economy and how horrifying it is as a humanity, but let's talk about the environmental nightmare that comes with multiple bombs being dropped onto our Earth. Environmental advocates have labeled Russia's war crimes an ecocide, as the attacks on nuclear power plants, forest fires, and declining air quality all become lasting problems for Ukrainians. Climate officials of a Ukrainian environmental advocacy group worry that the damage left by the war will be beyond repair. On a more local and positive note, this week, LA's City Council voted unanimously to approve of 14 measures that will tighten restrictions on one-time use plastic items. Alongside several waste reduction ordinances, the city says that its goal is to be a zero-waste city in the future. On to our weather forecast. Right now in Orange, it's currently my favorite, a clear 72 degrees. For our national forecast, up in Seattle, it's 60 today with clear skies as yesterday's rain clears. In San Francisco, it's partly cloudy today with a high of 63. Over in the desert, it's heating up this weekend as it reaches 85 degrees in Las Vegas. Denver is still seeing some high winds, but at a much cooler 63 degrees this week. Down in Austin, it's a humid 88 with some light showers throughout the day. Minneapolis is also seeing some rain, but the temperature high today is a cool 64, and next door in Chi-Town, it's a crisp 60 degrees. In the Northeast, there's a hazardous air warning with NYC and DC reaching the mid-60s. And in the South, we're seeing some high temperatures today with rain down in Miami. In Orange County, the warmest is here inland in Orange and Mission Viejo, and as we head out towards the coast, we're seeing cooler temperatures with Laguna and Newport Beach in the 60s. Finally, for your Orange 7-day forecast, no surprise here, it's going to be clear sunny skies this week ranging from the mid to high 70s. We may even break through to 80 degrees for tomorrow's high, but these moderate temperatures look pretty typical as we head into May this weekend. This has been your weekly weather update. I'm Alexis Tripke, and stay sunny.
The NFL draft is here. All your sports news coming up next.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
New Mexico authorities just released new footage from the fatal shooting on the set of Rust.
She shot her? She came in here and went across her chest. And it came out the back.
Among the never-before-seen footage, we see Alec Baldwin directly after the incident and a rehearsal clip where Baldwin practices with a gun. Authorities also released Baldwin's interview with investigators.
I put it in the holster. I pull it out slow. We're rehearsing. We're not filming anything. I pull it out slow, turn, cock the pistol, bang, it goes up and she hits the ground. If that's a bullet that was pulled out of his shoulder, then someone loaded a live round into the gun I was holding.
It has been 6 months since cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed on the set of Rust.
And now for some lighter news and an out-of-this-world update. This week, it's not Little Green Men, another shout-out to my ex. This time, it's SpaceX. SpaceX launched 4 astronauts to the International Space Station, and it's the first time a NASA crew was made up of half men and half women. And the crew included the first Black woman to make a long-term space flight. I've always wanted to be an astronaut.
I've always wanted to be an NFL quarterback. Unfortunately, I'm 5'6".
Here to tell us about those whose dreams did come true this week is Claire Weber with your sports report.
Welcome back to the Best Campus Sports Show. I'm Claire Weber, and we've got a lot to tackle today, so let's jump right in. It's NFL draft season, and I'm already thinking about who I want on my next fantasy football team. Going into this year's draft, many predicted that for the first time since 2017, a quarterback would not be the #1 pick, and these predictions were made true this Thursday evening.
The first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trayvon Walker, linebacker, Georgia.
Walker had an impressive college career at Georgia University during his breakout junior season, with more playing time than any other defensive lineman on the team. With many more picks still to come, the draft will continue through today and tomorrow. Now let's pop on over to the world of basketball, where the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and folks, we've already got some major names eliminated. Here's a look at the bracket where we can see the matchups for next round's set. The Boston Celtics are set to play an exciting semifinal series against last year's defending champs, the Milwaukee Bucks, while the Golden State Warriors made quick work of the Denver Nuggets. This bracket hasn't been updated from last night, but the Philadelphia 76ers, Phoenix Suns, and Dallas Mavericks all advanced. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving's Brooklyn Nets were once hailed as a championship favorite, but the Boston Celtics broke out the brooms and swept up the Nets in 4 astonishing games. Here's Irving's comments after they were eliminated.
Yeah, just disappointment, sadness, but also more importantly on the positive side, there's motivation. And, it's just burning in my heart right now. I know so many people wanted to see us fail at this juncture. Picked us as contenders and, have so much to say at this point. So I'm just using that as fuel for the summer.
If you ask me, it's because Irving didn't, take enough shots. In more pressing basketball news, WNBA star Brittany Griner still remains in custody in Russia after being detained in February. On Wednesday, former Marine Trevor Reed was released by Russia in a prisoner swap after being held for nearly 3 years, which could be good news for Griner. Reed's freedom implies that there's an open line of communication between the states and Russia, according to ESPN's TJ Quinn. Reed's family did not want to speak on Griner's behalf, however.
As far as Brittany's family goes, we're going to decline to speak about her because we think that that's what her people want. They don't want us to talk about her, so we don't want to do that and make anything worse for her case.
Here's hoping she gets home safe. We'll have more next week. And back in local sports, the Chapman baseball team plays Pomona Pitzer at home today, coming off of a 4-game win streak that's brought the team to a 25-9 overall record. Standout pitcher Grant Manning was just named Chapman's Athlete of the Week, and Manning has made quite the name for himself in his junior season, with 88 strikeouts, the highest number of all SCIAC pitchers. I'm looking forward to tuning into their 3 p.m. game today. Good luck, Panthers. Campus Sports Show, I'm Claire Weber, back to you.
Wondering how the second weekend of Coachella went? We'll have the very latest after the break.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Hello everyone, Barb Nation here, and I'm ready to spill all the tea in the entertainment world. Starting off with some bittersweet news, James Corden, who has hosted the Late Late Night for the last 7 years, is planning on leaving the show next year. Corden says he never saw this show as his final destination.
I never want this show to overstay its welcome in any way. I always want to love making it, and I really think in a year from now, that'll be a good time to move on.
But don't get too sad just yet. We'll still have 1 more year of carpool karaoke. And Coachella is sadly over. Some memorable moments from Weekend 2 featured a duet between Harry Styles and Lizzo, and Billy fell face first onto the stage. Listen to this.
Tripped on the fire thing. Okay, let's dance, huh?
Also, the outfits for Weekend 2 were a hit. Megan Thee Stallion basically took us to space with this fit. She of course finished the look with equally futuristic visor sunglasses. Billie Eilish kept up her athleisure style with an all-black moment. She was wearing an oversized graphic tee paired with matching biker shorts and a knee pad. It was made from repurposed fabrics by American fashion label The Incorporated. I would have to say, though, my favorite fit would have to be Harry and Lizzo's, who doesn't love an all-pink moment like this one. But while one festival ends, another begins. Yeehaw and giddy up, because the country cousin of Coachella, Stagecoach, begins today. Country music fans can enjoy a honky-tonk music festival in Indio, California for the next 3 days. Headliners include Thomas Rhett, Carrie Underwood, and Luke Combs. Speaking of celebrities, Megan Fox and her fiancé Machine Gun Kelly admitted to drinking each other's blood. Yes, I promise it's true. Listen to her yourself.
It is used for a reason, and it is controlled where it's like, let's shed a few drops of blood and each drink it. He's much more haphazard and hectic and chaotic, where he's willing to just like cut his chest open with broken glass and be like, take my soul. Let me bleed on you. It doesn't not happen, let me tell you. Maybe not exactly like that, but a version of that has happened many times.
Not really sure how I feel about that, but I love these two, so no judgment here. Now on to some harder news. Johnny Depp's libel trial continues. Depp's counsel called to the stands LAPD officer Melissa Sanchez. She says that there was no sign of domestic abuse. She also said Heard was unresponsive to her questions.
I responded to where Amber Heard was, and I again tried to see if I could get any information from her. I was unsuccessful, and then I issued her the business card and let her know that she could call us back if she wanted to talk.
However, the officer was not wearing body cams. Shannon Curry, a clinical psychologist, said Heard's PTSD symptoms were over-exaggerated.
There is a scale specific to intentional exaggeration on that test, and Ms. Heard was in the 98th percentile, meaning that she had engaged in extreme levels of exaggeration.
The case, Heard versus Depp, is still ongoing. We'll have more updates next week. That's all the buzz in the entertainment world. I'm Barb Nation. Back to you at the desk.
Another music festival. No, it's not Coachella. No, it's not Stagecoach either. It's the Flower Moon Festival. The Chapman community is gathering in Garden Grove tonight for a night of live music and art, all produced and led by current and former students.
Callista Kirk previewed how the team is preparing for tonight's event.
Yo, yo, yo. Hello, hello. If you like music, come out to the Flower Moon Festival Friday, April 29 from 5 to 10 at the Garden Amphitheater. It's going to be the biggest music festival to ever come out of Chapman, so if you want to get your tickets, come get them now. They won't be cheaper. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Chapman University has never seen anything quite like the Flower Moon Festival. The event, put on by the student-run club The Collective, showcases 14 musicians performing on 3 stages at a venue that houses over 600 people. The Collective seeks to cultivate the art scene on Chapman's campus, and this is a full-circle moment for them.
The Collective started as
just one person. And he basically came to the university with this big binder and was like, I want to make this festival. And then they were like, you're just like one student. My one thing that I really wanted to do before I left Chapman was to make that music festival happen.
And it's certainly no longer just one student. The performers showcased at the festival range from solo acts to full bands, new musicians to artists coming off of national tours, pop to rock to jazz, and current Chapman students to alumni to dropouts.
This is going to be the biggest venue I've played. I'm going to be jumping around, be moving around on the stage. I just want people to dance with me.
I think it's definitely going to be an emotional kind of set. It's just been a long time since I've performed. Definitely kind of like a sense of like reunion, also like a lot of emotion that has been like sort of held in for a while.
I tried to keep all the songs super light and fun, except for one. Get a little dark on one. For the most part, I just want it to be super fun and everybody to be dancing and vibing.
I think we're catching them at a time where we'll be able to be like, oh yeah, they were at Flower Moon Festival and then they blew up.
Along with the musicians, other Chapman students will be showcasing their art in the form of prints, clothing, jewelry, and more. For Chapman News, I'm Callista Kirk.
The festival kicks off at 5 p.m. tonight at the Garden Amphitheater and is open to all.
Tickets are available online now or at the door to the venue.
I've already bought my ticket, and I can't wait to tear up the dance floor tonight with my daddy-licious dance moves. Anyway, thanks for joining us this week. Be sure to check out our Chapman News YouTube page at chapmannews.tv, and make sure to follow us at Chapman News. I'm Adrienne Mitchell.
And I'm Kiana Favela, and we'll see you next week with another episode of Chapman News.